Ah, Tommy Thomas Plarail. One of the big behemoth toy lines from my childhood. I know everyone has their preference when it comes to their favorite line of Thomas merchandise. Wooden Railway, of course, has a huge following, as does Bachmann. Take Along and Ertl have their fans, but my favorite is, and always will be, Plarail. There was always just something so satisfying about setting up a huge layout, meticulously figuring out how each track would overlap each other and spiral up and connect back to the start, and then turning an engine on and watching it navigate the trek along those blue tracks. These were some of the most genius toys when it came to Thomas merch, as they could be turned on and move on their own, or they could freewheel and you could push them along yourself, complete with actual working side rods on their wheels. Endless playability. Gotta love that clever Japanese toy line ingenuity. It's been a hot minute since I've actually thought about Plarail. All of my collection has been in storage for quite a few years now, but the other day I was feeling a little nostalgic and decided to dig everything out. I made a little collection video for Twitter a few weeks back, and since then I've been seeking out those last few engines I needed to complete the lineup. What you're seeing here is my full collection, every single engine I own. And today I'm going to walk you through all of them. Let's move on over to the glass case and take a closer look at all of these, one by one. So first up here, we have a stock standard 2003 Plarail Thomas. In 2003, Plarail gave all the main characters a major upgrade with painted faces, white running boards, silver handrails, etc. And that's the version you're looking at here, complete with a new Thomas face that looks nothing like Thomas. I really have no idea which of Thomas's happy faces this is supposed to be. Is it this one? It kinda looks like it, sorta. I don't actually own the original version of Thomas from the 90s. I did when I was a kid, but no longer. Perhaps I should grab one for keepsake purposes. Next up is another stock standard Thomas. This is a later one with the printed on side decals. The previous one we just looked at was with sticker decals. Nothing too special about this Thomas, other than his eyes are pointing in a different direction. Nice variant, I suppose. Here we have the Cross Thomas from the Thomas and the Freight Car set. This is probably my favorite Thomas in the collection. I just adore that angry face. He's just so pissed. Here's the ever classic Shocked Thomas. Most people will know this from the Thomas and the Jet Engine pack, which featured a Shocked Thomas with super fast speed. I actually got mine from the original Roller Coaster Mountain set, so it's just a normal Thomas with a shocked face. I did end up getting the jet engine carves to put behind him to make a complete set, though. This here is a custom. This is my Sad Thomas. The body is all just a stock standard Thomas, with the face from the TrackMaster Thomas Makes a Mess pack. I found a really cheap scratched up one on eBay years ago. Took the face off it, and used rubbing alcohol to remove the yellow paint drip. I stuck it on a Plarail Thomas, and boom! Sad Thomas. I love me those face variants. Here's what I call Determined Thomas. One of the few in the collection with a CGI styled face. This came from the Thomas and Birdie Rainbow Bridge set. It's a fun expression. I love those rosy cheeks on him. Here is the Coal Dust Thomas from the Plarail Thomas and Merlin set. This is a new one, just got this guy a few days ago. He's basically the Determined Thomas, but his face is sooty. It's a neat variant, I suppose. Here is the original Thomas, or LBSC Thomas, from the Adventure Begins pack, featuring Thomas in his original green paint scheme before coming to Sodor. Absolutely adore this guy. Wish he had a CGI face though. Here is what I call the Muddy Thomas from the Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure pack. This is meant to depict Thomas as he was in that movie, all scraped up and dirty after falling into Callie's cavern. It's a fun variant, and I really like how his one is covered up a bit, just like in the movie. I only wish he had a different expression though. Perhaps a shocked face or something. Here is the special metallic Thomas from the 25 years of Plarail Thomas pack. This pack featured Winston and some other trucks I don't really care about. The crown jewel of this pack, for me, was this gorgeous metallic Thomas. Love the finish on this guy. I wish more characters were released like this. And the final Thomas in the lineup, here is the streamlined Thomas from the Great Race. This is a super cool item. I think Thomas's streamlined body is kinda ugly, to be honest. But what makes this is the 3 speed options, just like Plarail gives their bullet trains. You can make him stop, go normal speed, or super fast speed. Really cool feature. Gotta love Plarail. Finally, a new character. Here is Edward. The only Edward in my collection, actually, and probably my favorite of the whole lot, to be honest. I was always fascinated by his accurate wheel configuration as a kid, something that was totally unique to him. The new CGI Edward is garbage compared to this. I'll never own that. The eyebrows on mine are sadly coming off now. We'll have to fix those eventually. But otherwise, a gorgeous model. Here is Henry, the original 2003 revamp. Henry and Gordon were both designed with these long side rods that go into their cylinders like here. I never really liked how that looked, so at one point years ago I swapped his wheels out with Percy ones. So now he has those unified Plarail side rods. Here is the CGI Henry redesign, which came out in 2018. The face looks great on him, but I gotta say the rest of him is kind of a downgrade. They stopped painting the running board between his splashers, and they didn't pick out the lining on his cylinders, so I had to add that myself. That whole area is just unpainted green plastic. He looks good from afar, but up close, not so great. The 2003 versions are the superior. Here is Gordon, the 2003 revamp version. Like Henry, I swapped his wheels out with a spare Thomas's. Not much more to say about him. Here's the CGI Gordon revamp from 2015. I actually really like the CGI revamp for Gordon. All his details are picked out, and I love those super detailed side rods on him. Don't know why no other characters got those. This is probably the only CGI revamp I would say is an improvement to the original, but I still prefer the 2003 one for the sake of unity. Here's another custom. This is the CGI Gordon you just saw, but with a new expression. I call it my Scared Gordon. The face is from the TrackMaster Oh the Indignity Gordon pack. I found a busted one on eBay for cheap, salvaged the face, and plopped it onto the Plarail body. Fortunately, the faces were the exact same size. I love me those face variants. Here's the Shooting Star Gordon, or Streamlined Gordon, from the Great Race. Another really excellent item. Just like Streamlined Thomas, he has the 3-speed controls, so you can run this guy super fast. Really fun. Here's James, the 2003 version. The best version of James out there, no question. I always liked how his giant pupils looked on him. Not exactly show accurate, but it somehow fits. Really like this one. And here's the CGI James from 2014. I will admit that I do like this version. I think the details are all good, but I hate how fat he is. Why'd they make his boiler so large? The face is so extremely big now. Very strange decision. Here is the original James from the Adventure Begins pack, featuring his original black paint job. Love this one. James got a CGI face in this pack. I don't know why Thomas didn't. Very weird. Here is Percy, the 2003 version. Very cute little guy, but not really much to say about him. Here is the Shocked Percy from the Percy and Rocky pack. Another face variant, so I am a big fan of this one. It's so accurate too, it looks just like his shocked face in the show. Here is Toby, the only Toby in my collection. This is the TrackMaster version of Toby. Plarail upgraded the 6 main characters in 2003, but they never touched the other characters, leaving poor Toby unaltered. Fun fact, you can still to this day buy the original Toby in Japanese stores or online. They have not updated or changed him in any regard from his original 1997 release, and they still make him. They have made Toby the same way for 25 years straight and counting. He almost holds the record for the longest produced Thomas toy in history. Anyways, when TrackMaster re-released all the characters following the Mattel buyout, they upgraded everything to be unified, painting details like the face and giving them accurate wheel colors. So that's what this version of Toby is, released in 2010, I believe. Here is Duck. Just like Toby, he is a TrackMaster release from 2010 with the face paint updates. Those white eyes don't really do Duck any favors though. He looks like he's seen some shit. Here's a really novel one. This is Duck from the episode A Close Shave, a TrackMaster pack from 2009. It's just a stock standard Duck, but with a new face with shaving cream on him, just like in the episode. Such a bizarre choice for a Greatest Moments pack. I gotta wonder who was the secret fan at Hit Toys that suggested this. Here is Donald by Plarail. Donald and Douglas are some of the only few in the collection I opted for the original versions of, instead of the updated versions with the painted faces. The reason being, when TrackMaster finally pumped them out in 2012, they were both given the same face, complete with crappy tenders with all plastic axles. Ugh, no thank you. So I sought out the originals. And here's Douglas. As you can see, he has a totally different expression than Donald. I love that, and I'll happily sacrifice extra paint decals for unique expressions. I love that he has the laughing face here, makes him so much more unique. Here is Oliver, who I managed to snag very recently. He has got to be the most overblown, sought-after item in this toy line. The reason being, he is the only character that didn't make it to America. We got Boko and Splatter and Dodge and Lady of all characters here, but we never got Oliver for some reason. The only way to get him is to import him from Japan or England if you're lucky enough to find him online for a decent price. Since he was never released under TrackMaster, he never got the paint updates, so he's stuck with this scary face that only a mother could love. Happy to finally have him though. It's nice to have all of numbers 1 through 11. Here is Diesel, the TrackMaster version from 2010, and I gotta say, this is a nice item. It is miles better than the Plarail Diesel. Why? Well, 1, because of the painted face, and 2, because of its matte finish. The Gate Dieseled this really thick matte plastic for some reason, and it feels so sturdy. It's so appropriate he has this finish too, seeing as he's an industrial diesel engine. He unfortunately has that ever irritating nose paint chip right there on the front. Diesel's always the first one in everyone's collections to get that godforsaken nose paint chip, followed closely by Spencer. Always. I'm gonna have to go and fix that at some point. Really nice release though. Much prefer this to the Plarail version. Here is Bill. Now looking at it, you might think this is just the TrackMaster Bill, but it's actually a custom. What you're looking at here is actually the Plarail Bill with the TrackMaster face. I thought the Plarail Bill's details looked so much nicer, complete with windows on the cab, but I like the painted face of the TrackMaster. So I combined them and made a Supreme version of Bill, and then I picked out the handrails in silver, just to complete the look. And here is Ben, who also got the same treatment. I hate that they both use the same face, but I absolutely love how they each have different eyebrows. Helps to make each one just a little more unique. Here is Boko, from TrackMaster in 2010. Love this release. I love the way his face looks painted, and I love the accurate black wheels on him. The Plarail version had gray wheels for some reason. Another TrackMaster I think is superior to the Plarail. Here is Mavis, the TrackMaster release from 2010. I went and picked out all her handrails and knobs with silver, and I think it makes a huge difference. Here we have another favorite engine, Stepney. Again, a TrackMaster release from 2010 with those paint updates. I absolutely love the way his face looks with the paint. He's such a happy guy. I've always been bothered how these side decals are slightly off color, giving Stepney this sort of two-tone look. I very much wish these were decals instead, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. Here is Ari, our first TrackMaster exclusive character. I don't know what Plarail had against the diesel characters, but they hardly did any of them. I want to say this is a TrackMaster Ari, but apparently it might be a knockoff. Around 2013-ish or so, knockoffs of characters started appearing on eBay that looked virtually identical to the actual versions. Mine says Mattel on the bottom, so I'd like to believe it's real. I have no idea if this is or not, but even if it is a knockoff, I gotta say, it's still a very nice item. It feels very quality, and it has that nice rough matte finish just like Diesel. It looks really good on him. And here is Bert. Same story as Airy, potentially a knockoff, but I have no idea. And to be honest, I don't really care. I love the satanic faces on these guys. Here is Dodge, another recent purchase. The TrackMaster release from 2010, and the only Magic Railroad character I own. I somehow never ever got Diesel 10 or Lady or Splatter. I only have Dodge. I don't think TrackMaster ever did a paint update for Splatter, so sadly, he'll never match his twin whenever I finally get him. Oh well. Here is Salty from Plarail in 2003. Not much to say about him other than I swapped his side rods with Spencer's since his in the show are darker than normal, and I think they look a lot better on him. Here is Harvey, another Plarail release from 2003. Everyone hates on Harvey because he's not powered. He needs a coach behind him to push him. I think I'm with that crowd, to be honest. I'd rather a Harvey that's actually powered with limited crane movement than this dummy model with a crane arm that can spin 360 degrees. He looks nice though, at least. Here is Emily by Plarail. Like Toby, she has been unchanged since her debut in the line in 2004, which is kinda cool. I never liked her design though. I've never been a big fan of the tender-powered engines. They just look so proportionally wrong. Here is Spencer by TrackMaster, as released in 2010. Someone at Mattel must have loved Spencer, because they revamped him that year with this really nice, more silvery paint job, as opposed to the Plarail version with the all-white paint job. I prefer the silver when it comes to the toys. I just think it's more striking. I swapped his side rods with Salty's, as I mentioned earlier. Here is Arthur by Plarail in 2005. Another big favorite of mine. He is up there with Edward for best of the line. All his proportions are perfect. He's so nicely detailed with that white running board. Just an all-round good looker. Here's Murdoch, the Plarail from 2004. I'm kinda mixed on Murdoch. I love all his detail and that accurate wheel configuration, but it's all at the expense of a powered tender and static side rods. I hate the static side rods so much, and I hate that they started becoming a thing as the line went on. Happy to have him though. I know he's a rare one now. Here is Molly by Plarail in 2006. I never really liked her either, to be honest. Her face is large and kinda scary looking. She's tender powered, and what the hell, no side rods at all? Not even static ones. Why didn't they just reuse the Edward chassis for her? What happened here? A very poor model, but happy to have her for completist sakes. Here is Neville by Plarail in 2006, and now we're talking. No more tender-powered engines. He is engine-powered, and he is accurate. I love that Plarail went to the trouble of giving him actual bullied-styled spoke wheels. That's such a cool detail. Neville is like the most nothing character in the show ever, but Plarail went so hard on his toy. Love this one. Here is Dennis by Plarail in 2006. And they went to town on him just like Neville. So many vents and rivets and details on him. And he also has those accurate bully wheels. And not to mention those very unique exclusive side rods. A really, really nice one. I always had a bit of a soft spot for Dennis. Here is Rocky by Plarail in 2011. Not an engine, but felt wrong to not include him here. This is the unpowered version that comes in the Percy and Rocky pack. I never got the fun powered version with the working crane arm, and I probably never will either, considering how much he goes for now. Yikes. Here is Rosie by Plarail in 2007. Nothing really too much to say about her. She's overall just pretty solid. And here's the Red Rosie from 2018, featuring Rosie in her red paint job with her front headlamp. This is a really nice item. I really like the face on her. It's CGI styled, but I like that it's not just the standard happy expression. Her eyelids are kinda closed. She looks kinda smug. I love it. Here is Whiff, another new one, and another TrackMaster exclusive. Somehow Plarail never made him. This is the 2008 version, complete with those giant pupils. Love the molded glasses on this one. I'm really glad that they weren't just like painted on or something. Here's Billy, my favorite character ever. No sarcasm at all. This is the TrackMaster from 2008. Nothing more to say about him really. He's whatever, who cares. Here is Stanley, the Plarail release from 2009. I specifically went with the Plarail version of Stanley instead of TrackMaster because I like the details on this one a lot more. That painted running board makes a world of difference. Very nice model. Here is Hero, by Plarail in 2010. Hero's neat because he's basically just one of the Plarail D51s with a face on it. And hey, it works. He looks great. I just wish they didn't use this weird neutral expression for him. Why on earth did they opt for this instead of a happy face? You'd think that for the character that represents Japan, they want a more approachable facial expression. I prefer all the molded details on this to the TrackMaster Hero, though I would like to pick up a TrackMaster one at some point. And here is Patchwork Hero by Plarail. This was an exclusive to Thomastown in Japan. I was able to grab one online in 2014 before they shot up in price. TrackMaster never did a Patchwork Hero somehow, which is so weird to me. You'd think Mattel would have jumped on the opportunity to make a multicolored version of a character. Here is Victor, the Plarail from 2012. Another character that I chose the Plarail version over the TrackMaster. I just like the proportions of this one more, and I love all the molded details. He's a very nice one. Here is Charlie, my other favorite character ever, no sarcasm. Plarail never did Charlie, so this is the TrackMaster from 2010. Not much to say about him, but he has a very weird face though. I'm assuming that's based on concept art because that looks nothing like his face in the show. Here is Dash, the Plarail from 2010. In typical Plarail fashion, they made one twin easily available, and the other twin, Bash, only in some big set. I never got the set, so I only have one of the two twins. I'll probably never ever get Bash either, since he goes for crazy amounts online. But hey, that's okay. I'm definitely not crying over not having all of the logging logos. Here is Belle, the Plarail from 2012. This really was the era where TrackMaster started getting lazy, because they made Belle with those stupid static side rods, and it looked terrible. So I opted for the Plarail version. She looks pretty good. I'm not a fan of the character at all, but the toy at least looks nice. Here is Flynn, again the Plarail from 2013. I really like the Plarail Flynn because it accurately depicts both his road wheels and his rail wheels, and the rail wheels are the ones that actually ride on the tracks. That attention to detail is really nice. The TrackMaster one just has him on his road wheels on the tracks. It looks so goofy. Here's Paxton, the TrackMaster from 2012. Just like Diesel, Ari, and Bert, he has that really nice, thick, matte finish. He looks great. Here is Stafford, who I found in a separate box from the rest of the collection. Totally forgot I had him, to be honest. He's a TrackMaster from 2012. Novel item, but definitely not one I think about often. I mean, who's Stafford, right? Here is Winston. Not an engine, really he's basically just rolling stock, but it felt wrong to not include him. This is from the 25 years of Plarail Thomas pack with that metallic Thomas, so he has those special little flags on him. I love that he comes with a Sertapum hat that can fit in him. It adds some really fun play value. Nice item. Now here's a great one. Steven from TrackMaster in 2013. I love how TrackMaster tackled him, giving him these giant wheels at the front with these unique working side rods. Plarail's version of Steven looks terrible. Why, oh why did they make him tender powered? It's so disproportionate. This was the last truly great TrackMaster in my opinion, before the line shit the bed in 2014. Here's the Plarail Connor from the King of the Railway pack in 2014. I got this pack to specifically get both Connor and Caitlin, but then they ended up releasing both of them on their own a couple years later anyway. Oh well, at least I got these cool little crests to put on them. I also really love how Plarail gave Connor these special spoked wheels that are accurate to the show and totally unique to him. That's something the TrackMaster version didn't bother with. It's those little details that make me appreciate the folks over at Plarail so much. While it's not what it used to be, I'm still so happy that this toy line is still going. And here's Caitlin from that same pack. Not really a whole lot to say about her. I really like how long her and Connor are, makes them seem all the more impressive, as they should be, being these massive streamliners. They have some weird looking faces though. Here is Porter, the final ever TrackMaster in 2013. The next year, Mattel redesigned the whole line and made it economic and terrible. Porter marks the end of an era, so I'm very happy to have him. Thank goodness Plarail still exists in Japan, so the line isn't totally dead yet. Here is Gator by Plarail in 2015, and by God, what a fantastic release. This is like the only Gator toy that looks like the character in the show, complete with all the lining on the sides of his face, and a face that actually looks like him. Excellent model, really happy to own this one. And what's Gator without Marion? She's unpowered, but I love how Plarail tackled her. I love that posable shovel arm, that's really fun. So glad someone made Marion, because TrackMaster infamously cancelled her. Here is Ryan by Plarail in 2016. He looks great, it's so neat having an N2 in Plarail form. The only thing I don't really love is his face. I don't know why he has this sort of shouting expression. It's very unlike the character in the show. Overall, looks really nice though. Here is Skiff. Not really an engine, but again, he felt weird to not include. This is the original version that came in the Soder's Legend of the Lost Treasure pack in 2016. I love that he comes with this little Sailor John figure, just totally completes him. I really love how Plarail tackled Skiff, making him a boat separate from his chassis. The TrackMaster one is just, what even is this? What's going on here? And here's the current day Skiff, complete in his Railboat Tours livery. This is the version that comes with Ryan. No fun figure on this one, but he looks great. Looks just like the character. Here is Hurricane, another recent addition. He seems a bit squashed to me, kinda short in length, which contrasts with how he looks in the show. It's so strange how certain characters that should be short end up being over elongated, and some that are meant to be long end up getting squished. Strange decision there. And here's Frankie, who came with Hurricane. She is treated as rolling stock, so she can't actually move on her own. That's such a shame. I would have loved a motorized Frankie. She's such a fun diesel design. Maybe one day I'll look into trying to add a motor to her. Has anyone done that yet? Surely someone has. So, quick update on this. I messed around with a second Frankie and added moving side rods to her and painted her running board and undercarriage. It took some cutting into the running board to get her rear wheel to fit, but I think it turned out pretty well. Now if only I could squeeze a motor somehow into her. Here is Merlin, one of the newest additions to the collection. I really like the Plarail Merlin. It's so nicely detailed. But I hate how they released him. You could only get him in a set with Thomas, in which he isn't motorized and is basically just rolling stock. They want you to actually buy a second Hurricane, and then you're supposed to slide the Merlin body on top of his chassis to make him motorized. Such a shady move to get people to buy two of a character they don't need. Well, I'm a sucker, so I ended up doing it anyway. I bought a second Hurricane so my Merlin could be powered. Not really happy about that, but very happy to finally just have him. I really like this character. Here is Ashima, another recent addition, and I'll be honest, I don't really like her. She's just nothing to write home about. She's super boxy, all her decals are just stickers, her front isn't painted. She's very bland, which is in stark contrast to her design in the show. Plarail kinda dropped the ball here, not gonna lie. Here is Yong Bao, and again, I gotta say, I'm not super impressed with this one. He looks a lot better than Ashima, but I don't know. Something about him looks unfinished. Maybe it's the unpainted buffers? I don't know, I'm not sure. Happy to have him though, since he's such a cool looking engine in the show. But something about this guy feels off. I can't put my finger on it. And here is the final standard gauge character in the collection, Kenji. Kenji is the only Big World Big Adventures character in my collection. And the only reason I bought him was because I always wanted a classic Plarail Shinkansen. Well, they ended up making a Thomas character of one, so I figured, why the hell not? He looks really nice, with this almost metallic finish. And he has the 3 speed controls on him, just like Plarail's authentic bullet trains. I gotta admit, he's a pretty nice item. Now we'll get into the narrow gauge characters. First up is Skarloey by Plarail, the premier narrow gauge engine. My Skarloey is modified to have moving side rods. I hate the static ones they stuck on most of the narrow gauge engines. This mod was pretty easy. I just swapped the wheels with the spare ducts, and they seem to work just fine. Lifts the character so much. We'll move on to Sir Handel. This is the TrackMaster version from 2011, and I sought this version out because it had the accurate black wheels. The Plarail version had these weird white wheels. I never understood why they gave him those. I also like the way TrackMaster painted the face better. Looks more like the character. Here is Peter Sam, another character exclusive to TrackMaster. I gave him the same treatment I gave Skarloey, complete now with moving side rods. They really did the narrow gauge dirty in this toy line, didn't they? Here is Rusty, the Plarail version from 2006. Again, a very strange model. He has the laughing face from the small scale Rusty, but they scale it up to be the size of the later large scale Rusty. So the toy overall just looks really off. The eyebrows on mine are starting to come off a bit. I gotta fix those. Here's Duncan, the Plarail version from 2007. I'll never understand why they made Duncan as long as they did. He looks atrocious. Why is he so long? I look at how short Hurricane is, and then I look at Duncan and I just get upset. He's way too stretched out, but at least he actually has moving side rods, so that's a plus at least. Here is Duke, the original 2009 release by TrackMaster. I love this toy so much because it's just a complete total copy of the 2004 reference photos of Duke, complete with the laughing face, the overall lighter brown, the all brown buffer beam, and the lack of any side rods. They literally just copied the photos, and I find that so funny. Not the worst narrow gauge engine by far. I actually really quite like him. Here is Bertram, one of the most baffling TrackMaster releases out there. First of all, just why? Why did they make Bertram of all characters? We couldn't get a rather significant recurring character like Daisy, but we got Bertram, this character who was a literal Duke repaint and appeared for 5 seconds with no dialogue. What's more baffling is that the toy isn't a Duke repaint. It's an exclusive tooling. Totally different cab, much bigger tender, and totally different boiler details. I'm amazed and baffled by this. Truly a relic from a bygone era where these companies cared so much about making quality toys that they didn't try to look for ways to reuse existing toolings and cut costs. I really love this one. Here we go, Mighty Mac, another absolute favorite of mine. The way Plarail tackled this two-faced engine is brilliant. Usually I don't like unpowered engines that are pushed by the rolling stock behind them, but I'll concede for this guy. The fact you can flip the engine's body direction so either end can be at the front is so cool. What a genius toy. Beautifully detailed too. Truly one of the best and the most unique from Plarail. Here is Fearless Freddy, the TrackMaster release from 2007. There's really not too much to say about him. He's a very boxy engine with some nice details on him. Far from the worst narrow gauge engine in this line, I suppose. And our last engine of the lineup is Luke, by Plarail in 2013. Luke suffers from the same elongation problems as Duncan, but I do appreciate all the detail on him. He's more detailed than the TrackMaster one, and that's why I opted for this version. Oh wait, we got one more. Birdie, except he's a train now. This is such a funny item. I don't really know why they made this, to be honest. Who on earth at Plarail said, let's make Birdie, but he'll run on the tracks? This came in that Thomas and Birdie Rainbow Bridge set, and the only reason I bought it was because the idea of having Birdie pull the express was hysterical to me. It's such a dumb item, but I love it anyways. So happy to have this. Oh, but we're not done yet, folks. We still have some road vehicles to look at. Here is my original Birdie. Probably the oldest item here in my collection. This is the Birdie that I had as a kid, and somehow I still have it. It somehow didn't get lost or thrown out. Can't have a Thomas collection without a Birdie. Here is the green Bulgy, which I got in that giant Thomas Ultimate set at Toys R Us years ago with Mighty Mac. Not much to say here, except I somehow never got the red version of Bulgy, so I'll have to rectify that eventually. Here is Terrence, the TrackMaster version. It's a nice item, what can I say? It's Terrence. Happy to have him. Here is my favorite of all the road vehicles, Elizabeth by Plarail. I love how she was accomplished in this line. She's so detailed and proportionate. Very nice item. Here is Jack by TrackMaster. Another really nice road vehicle in my opinion. I love that his arms are posable. He's the only pack member that was translated into this motorized line pretty well in my opinion. Alfie and Ned look like butt. And lastly, here is Madge by TrackMaster. I like Madge, so I'm happy to have her, but she is a weird looking one. Where are her eyebrows? Did she come out with eyebrows and mine just rubbed off? I have no idea. But she looks so scary without them, like a weird fish or something. And that is everything, my friends. Those are all my engines. I do have most of the rolling stock for most of the engines, the ones that came with rolling stock anyways, but that's all packed in a trunk and I didn't think it was worth pulling out and getting footage of, so this shot here is all you're getting of that. Hope you all enjoyed this video. I know it's a bit of a diversion from my usual content, but I thought it'd be a nice little palate cleanser. The Thomas Retrospective Season 3 is on its way. That'll be coming soon, so look out for it. I'm gonna go play with my trains now. See y'all in the next one, folks. Bye now.